topic, that is cell structure and functions. So first of all, we should know what is a cell. Cell is nothing but it is the structural and functional unit of life. Structural unit, as we can say that the various structures which are formed in a multicellular organisms, they are all composed of the cell. So it is called as the structural unit and the functional unit. As we all know that all the cells contain the organelles which will be functioning, which will be performing different functions. Like the mitochondria will be helpful in producing the ATP, and the various organelles like the ribosomes, they will be helping in producing the proteins. So these are all the organelles which will be helping in producing the various products which are required for the life to continue, or the cell to grow and the multicellular organism to grow. Unicellular organisms also have organelles, but these organelles are there in a particular region, in a particular cell only, and that one single cell itself contributes the whole life of the unicellular organisms. So these are all the organelles which will be having all the different elements which will be helpful in producing the various products which will be required for the life to continue. So this way we have the cell as the structural and functional unit of life. Now the discovery of the cell was done by Robert Hooke. He was an English scientist who in 1664 studied a cell of the cork of the tree bark, and he took the tree bark and observed it in a self-composed microscope. That time microscope was not available, so he invented his own microscope and found that there are various parts which are of similar type. So as we all know, the cells are in similar type, so he give the name as the cell. So cells are nothing but these are the cells which are these are the parts which are having the same structure, and they will be having the certain something at the center. So this something was called as nucleus after the discovery of the cell. So cell was discovered by Robert Hooke. He observed the tree bark cork, and then he observed various other cells also, like the onion cells or various plant cells and the human cells, and then it was found that the cells are nothing but these are the structural and functional unit, because they are present in the various parts of the body of the organisms. So in 1664 a great discovery was done by Robert Hooke, and he achieved a Nobel Prize for that. Then the microscope, as I've told you, there are various types of microscopes. Initially we had only a compound microscope which had a few lenses, and it helped in viewing the cells which were much smaller in size and which were not visible to the naked eye. Now later on, as the technology developed, we had the scanning electron microscope. We also have transmission electron microscopes. The scanning electron microscope is used, it has a magnification capacity from 50x to 2 million x. So it can magnify large variety of organisms which are very small in size. Now these can also be helpful in observing the external structures of the cell, so that we can observe the granules which are present in the cell, the various organelles which are present in the cell, and the various elements which are formed in the during the metabolic processes of the cell. So these are all the various parts which can be observed inside the cell using the scanning electron microscope. Then we have the transmission electron microscope, which is again the same as scanning electron microscope, but much more developed than the scanning electron microscope. So different types of microscopes that we have are compound microscope, then we have scanning electron microscope, then we have transmission electron microscope, and so on. So the different types of microscopes that we have seen. Now we will see the different types of cells. We have unicellular as well as multicellular cells. Unicellular cells are nothing but the cells which will be having only a single cell. So these are the unicellular cells of the prokaryotes. Like prokaryotes are nothing but these are the organisms which are not well developed. They are having the various cells. They are having a single cell in that all the organelles are there and all the functions are performed by that single cell only. The size of the prokaryotic cell is much smaller. So if we see a bacteria as well as a protozoa. So these are all the cells which will be having the prokaryotic cell structure. Then the eukaryotic cell structure, like the viruses, the human cells, the plant cells, these are all the well developed cells. And as we all know that human beings, the plants and the animals, they are all multicellular organisms. So they are having the different cell structures, and they are having different cells in different parts, and all the cells will be performing their own function. Like we can say the cells of the digestive system will be helping in digestion, like the cells of the respiratory tract will be helping in respiration. So different cells perform their different functions in a multicellular organism. Now let us see the difference between a unicellular and a multicellular organism. The unicellular cell is whole and soul a life of an organism. Like if you say unicellular organism, it will be having the single cell only, and so if that cell will die, the whole body is finished. Similar, if you see the multicellular organism, since many cells are there, they have trillions of cells. So if a single cell die, it doesn't make any difference for the multicellular organism. The size, if you see, the unicellular organisms are not visible or not visible to the naked eye. Or else we can see the multicellular organisms which are easily visible to the naked eye. You can see human beings, you can see plants, animals and all. So you can observe the cell, observe the whole body which is formed by the various cells of the multicellular organisms. Then the another difference between the unicellular and multicellular organism is that the single cell will perform all the functions, whereas the multicellular organisms will be having the different cells which will be performing their different functions. So it doesn't make any difference if a single cell dies, the other cells are living and the other cells will be performing their functions. So this way we have the different types of cells. Then we have the different shapes of the cells we can see. If we see the cells of a WBC, a RBC, a nerve cell or a muscle cell, the shapes of all these cells are different. If you see a WBC, the WBC is round shape. If you see a RBC will be having a biconcave oval shape. So it will be having a concave region from both the sides, and it will be having a large surface area, so that the hemoglobin or the oxygen will bind to the hemoglobin of the RBCs. So this way the RBCs are having a different shape than the WBCs, which are granular, and they will be having the circular shape. Then we have the muscle cells. The muscle cells will be having the spindle shape. These spindle shape help in the muscles to do contraction and relaxation. So these muscle cells are developed according to their requirement. The muscle cells are helpful in movement of the body. So the muscle cells are having the spindle shape for the contraction and relaxation of the muscles. Similarly, if we see the nerve cells will be having a branched body. They are longer in size. They are about 1 meter in size. These are the longest cells in the human body. So if you see the cells of the nerve cells, they are having a different structure. The neuron constitutes of the axon and the dendron, and then the cell body is there. So if you see the structure of the nerve cell, you will understand how much it is different it is from the other cells. Then if you see the size of the various cells, the cells of a bacteria, if you consider, it is the smallest cell, which is very small, and it is not at all visible to the naked eye. But if you see a cell of an egg cell of an ostrich, which is an unfertilized egg cell, this is the biggest cell which is present all over. This cell is larger in size, and it is easily visible to the naked eye. But if you see the bacterial cell, it is very small. So these are all the cells which are having the variations in the size. The human nerve cell is much longer as compared to the muscle cell. Muscle cell is comparatively smaller. Then if you see the cells of the RBCs and the WBCs, they are again having the different shapes. So shapes and size of the cells are different in the different organisms. Then if you see the levels of the organization, as we all know that there are various levels of organization. The various cells, if you consider, different types of cells, they combine together, they will form tissues. And they will form a particular tissues. Like if you take a cardiac cell, the various cardiac cells will form the cardiac tissue. The various cells of the intestine, they will form the intestinal tissue, or various cells of the cells of the, you can say, respiratory tract, they will form the respiratory tract tissues. Skin cells will form the layers of the endoderm, exoderm and all those. So these are all the cells which are having the different, which will combine together and they will form the tissues. Then the various tissues, they combine together and they form the organ. Like if you take the various tissues of the cardiac system, they form an organ that is called as the heart. If you see the heart, it will be made up of different tissues. It can be made up of the squamous epithelial tissue. It can be made up of the cardiac tissue. So these are all the different tissues which are there in the heart. And these all tissues combine together to form an organ that is called as heart. So the various organs which are formed, you can see there is heart, kidney. There is in plants, if you see the organs like the leaf, the flower, these are all the organs which are there. These all organs combine together and they form an organ system. Like if you see the inside a plant, the organs like the stamen, the stigma, or the leaf, or the petals we can call it as. So these all combine together and they form a flower, that is a reproductive system. So it is a reproductive system in case of plants. Similarly, if you take the reproductive system in case of human beings, the various organelles like the endometrium, the ovaries and all, they all form your reproductive system in a female human being. So these are all the various parts which form the particular system. If you take the digestive system, the esophagus, the mouth, the stomach, intestine, these all form the these all organs form a digestive system. So these are all the organs which are forming a particular system. Now, as we can see the various systems in a human body, like if you take the digestive system, respiratory system, reproductive system, all the systems together, they form a particular body. So these are nothing but these are all the various systems constituting an individual or an organism. Similarly, in plants also, there are various systems which will be, there is a transport system, there is a respiratory system, there is a system which is helping in photosynthesis. Form a plant body. Similarly, in human also, the various systems together, they will form a human body. So the system together, they will form a individual. So the level of organization, as we can see, the first level comes as the cells, then the next level is the tissues, then the next level is the organs, then organ system, then we have the individual body. So these are all the levels of organization that we should know. A quick revision to all the topics that we have seen. We have seen the cells. Cell was nothing but the structural and functional unit of life. We call it as structural unit because it forms the various structures. It forms the heart, it forms the kidney, liver, and all those structures are formed by the cells only. In case of plants also, the various structures like the flower, the leaf, you can take the xylem and the phloem tissue. These are all formed by the cells, so they are called as the structural unit. Now these cells have various organelles to produce energy and to do certain functions. So these are nothing but these are the cells which are performing the functions, so they are called as the functional unit of life also. Then we have seen the discovery which was done by Robert Hooke, English scientist, who did the discovery of cell in 1664. So the discovery got a Nobel Prize because it was a great achievement which made us understand that the cells of the body, a particular type of cell, will be of same size and they will be containing the same material in a particular type of cell. So the various cells that we have seen and the discovery done by Robert Hooke in 1664 got a Nobel Prize. Then we have seen the different types of microscopes. We have seen the compound microscope, scanning electron microscope, we have seen transmission electron microscope. Then we have the different types of cells, that is the number of cells, based on the number of cells, that will be unicellular cells and the multicellular cells we have. Then we have the different shapes of the cells. We have also seen the difference between unicellular and multicellular cells. The different shapes, like we have seen the WBC, RBC, a spindle shaped cell, that is a muscle cell. Then we have seen the nerve cells. Then the size of the bacteria, size of the cells as compared to the bacteria and the ostrich egg cell. We have also seen the various levels of organization in the cell. Then now we will see the various parts of the cell, that will be the parts of the cell which constitute a cell. That means you can consider the outermost covering as the cell wall. The cell wall is the outermost covering in case of a plant cell as well as the algae. Then if you consider a bacterial cell, the outermost covering can be a capsule. The capsule will be having the capsule is the protective covering for certain bacteria. As I've told you, the pneumonia bacteria, if you see, Streptococcus pneumoniae, it will be having two types of strains. One will be having capsule and other will not be having the capsule. So these are all the different types of bacterial cell which will be having the capsule, which is the protective covering for the bacterial cell. Then we have the human cells, or the animal cell you can call it as. In animal cells, the outermost covering is the cell membrane. The cell wall of a bacteria, it is made up of pseudopeptidoglycan. Then if you consider a plant cell, the cell wall is made up of cellulose. If you consider an animal cell, the cell wall is made up of peptidoglycan. So these are all the components of the cell wall which are there. Then if you consider the inner layer, which is below the cell wall, it is there, it is the cell membrane. The cell membrane is the fluid mosaic model. It is the fluid structure which will be having the proteins and the lipids. In case of animal cell, or in case of plants also, the cell membrane is made up of the phospholipid bilayer. That means it will be having two layers of the phospholipids. So these are all the components of the cell membrane. The cell membrane also acts as a barrier, or it acts as a, consider a watchman which is there at the entrance of any complex or any residential building. What it does is, it doesn't allow any hawker or anyone from outside or a visitor to enter inside without a proper checking. So this way, the cell membrane also, what it does, it will allow the entry of certain elements only inside the cell, and it will not allow certain elements which will be poisonous to the cell inside the cell. So this way, the cell membrane acts as a barrier, or it is a semi-permeable membrane. It gives permission to the elements only which are required in the cell, and the elements which are not required are thrown out of the cell via the cell membrane. So the cell membrane is a protective covering again. Then below that we have the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is nothing but it is the fluid of the cell. Inside the cytoplasm, we can see all the organelles which will be floating. So cytoplasm is also a semi-jelly-like fluid, semi-solid fluid, which is a jelly-like substance, and the organelles will be embedded inside the cytoplasm. So all the organelles like the nucleus, the mitochondria, the ribosomes, the vacuoles, the endoplasmic reticulum, these are all present inside the cytoplasm, and they will be floating inside the cytoplasm. They will be rather held by the cytoplasm inside the cell. So these are all the various cells which are there, the various organelles which are there inside the cell. Now if you see the various organelles like the plastids, the plastids are the organelles which are present only inside the plant cell, because plastids contains chloroplast, and chloroplast is a green pigment which will be helpful in, it contains chlorophyll as a green pigment which will be helpful in photosynthesis. So this way we have the plastids which is present only in the plant cell, and other prokaryotes or eukaryotes which will be green in color. So these are all algae, you can say blue-green algae also contains the chloroplast. So they are also green in color. This way, plastids is present only in the cells which will be performing photosynthesis. Then we will be having vacuoles. The vacuoles are present in the plants as well as the animal cell, and these vacuoles are much larger in plants as compared to the animal cell. The vacuoles are used for storage of the food. There are food vacuoles. There are vacuoles for the wastage also. They are called as the lysosomes. The bags which are present, the small bags which will be also called as the suicide bags, they are present inside the animal cell. These lysosomes contain the enzymes which are called as the lytic enzymes. And these lytic enzymes, what it does is it helps in breaking down the waste material. So they are called as the suicide bags. The cells which are dead or the waste material is there, that is completely destroyed inside the suicide bags, which are also called as lysosomes. Then we have the mitochondria. Mitochondria, as we have seen, that they are helpful in producing the ATP. The structure of the mitochondria is such that the ATP is produced inside the mitochondria, and ATP is nothing but it is the energy currency. It is nothing but it is also called as the adenosine triphosphate. The full form of it is adenosine triphosphate, and this adenosine triphosphate, it is the energy currency. That means whenever you have to perform a particular work, you have to spend energy. So it is called as the energy currency of your body, and it is produced in the mitochondria. Then we have ribosomes. The ribosomes are helpful in producing the proteins, or helpful in synthesizing the proteins, we can call. So ribosomes are the site for protein synthesis. Now these ribosomes are present on the endoplasmic reticulum. There are endoplasmic reticulum which will be connected, as you can see, to the nucleus, and to the walls of the nucleus, that is also called as the nuclear membrane. On the nuclear membrane, we can see the connection is there, and it forms the endoplasmic reticulum. Now there are two types of endoplasmic reticulum. One is the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, and another is the rough endoplasmic reticulum. So these endoplasmic reticulum, which will be having the ribosomes, they are called as rough endoplasmic reticulum. And this rough endoplasmic reticulum will be having the ribosomes, and it will be a site for the protein synthesis. So ribosomes are again a helpful part which will be producing the proteins which are transcribed from the nucleus. Then we see the main part of the cell, that is called as the nucleus. Inside the nucleus, we have the genetic material of the cell. In case of plants as well as animals, the genetic material is present inside the nucleus. Whereas if you take a prokaryotic cell, the nucleus is not at all present. A nucleoid, that is a genetic material which is embedded anywhere, present anywhere inside the cell, is present in case of a prokaryotic cell like the bacteria. Now if you see the nucleus, it is having the genetic material, and that will be helpful in replication of the DNA, as well as the proteins which will be formed. They are formed inside the partially they are formed in the nucleus, and then they go out in the cytoplasm, and on the ribosomes the proteins are formed. So this way the nucleus is again it is the main part of the cell. Then we have these are all the various organelles which are there, and this whole together constitute a cell. We can see the difference between a plant cell and animal cell. The plant cells are comparatively different than the animal cell. Like if you consider the main organelle, that is the outermost cover, cell wall. Cell wall is not present inside a plant cell, inside an animal cell, whereas it is present only in the plant cell. So the shape, as we can see, of the plant cell, it is quadrigonal or hexagonal in shape, whereas the animal cell, it is circular in shape. So the difference in the shape as well as the difference in the outermost covering. The outermost covering in case of plant cell is cell wall, and the outermost covering in case of animal cell is the cell membrane. As I've told you, the cell membrane is nothing but it is the fluid mosaic model, and it is the semi-permeable membrane which will be helpful in entering only the certain elements inside, and not allowing certain elements which are harmful to the cells inside the cell. So this way, the semi-permeable membrane is the outermost covering in case of the animal cell. Then there is again a difference between the various organelles which are there. As I've told you, plastids, which contain the green pigment, that is chlorophyll, which is helpful in photosynthesis. As we all know, only green plants do photosynthesis, and the animals don't do photosynthesis. So the chlorophyll is present only in case of plant cell, and it is not present in case of animal cell. Then the organelles like the lysosomes, which are called as the suicide bags, they are present only in case of animal cell, because the dead cells which are produced are killed up inside the cell, within the cell itself, by the lytic enzymes in the lysosomes, which is present only in case of animal cell and absent in case of the plant cell. Then we can see the organelles like the Then the organelles like the vacuoles. The vacuoles are much larger in case of plant cell and smaller in case of animal cell. The vacuoles of the animal cell are smaller, or sometimes they are absent also in certain cells of the animal. But in case of the plant cell, the vacuoles are larger in size, so that the food storage is much, like we can see the starch which is produced in the photosynthesis is stored in the plant for a longer period of time. So the food vacuoles in the plant cell are much larger. So these are all the difference we can see between the plant cell and the animal cell.
No more spending your energy and money on coaching classes, or missing classes for rain, for rally, and any other nonsense. Subjects covered by multiple teachers with repeat telecasts. Doubts, concepts, applications, no problem. All explained through great and significant animation. So sit back comfortably in your home and watch Study Spectrum TV channel.
So now let us see the difference between the prokaryotic and the eukaryotic cell. The prokaryotic cell, as I have told you, are much smaller in size as compared to the eukaryotic cell. Then if you consider the prokaryotic cell, it will be a single cell which will be consisting of all the organelles, and the eukaryotic cell, it will be having various different cells, and they are of two types again. We have the unicellular cells also and the multicellular cells also. So in unicellular they will be having only a single cell which will be performing all the functions, but in case of multicellular cells like the human cells and the animal cells, they will be having the various different cells, and the different cells will be performing the different functions. And then if you consider a prokaryotic cell, it will be consisting of the flagella. That is again that is an organelle which is present only in case of a bacterial cell, where the movement or the locomotion is required. And in case of eukaryotic cell, the flagella is absent. Then in case of prokaryotic cell, you see the organization is not so complex, whereas in case of eukaryotic cell, the organization is complex. It will be having the various organelles which will be performing their different functions. The nucleus is embedded anywhere in case of the plant cell, whereas in case of animal cell, in case of the eukaryotic cell, the genetic material is present inside the nucleus only. The nucleus in case of prokaryotic cell, the genetic material is present anywhere, and hence it is called as a nucleus or not the nucleus. So these are the basic differences between the prokaryotic and the eukaryotic cell. Then we have seen the various parts of the cells. We have seen the vacuoles, we have seen the cytoplasm, we have seen cell wall, cell membrane as the outer coverings. Then there is also capsule in case of bacterial cell, which is the outermost covering for the bacteria. Then we have seen the plastids, we have seen the nucleus. Nucleus will be having the genetic material. We have seen mitochondria, we have seen ribosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, and also the lysosomes, which are the suicide bags. So these are all the organelles which will be performing the different functions. In case of prokaryotic cell, they are having some few organelles which are required for their life to survive. In case of eukaryotic cell, they will be having all the organelles which will be performing the different functions. Plant cells are comparatively different as compared to the animal cell. So this way we have seen the cell, its structure and the functions in details. So as we have seen the chapter, cell structure and its function, let us have a quick review of the question and answers of that chapter. So first of all, we should know what is a cell. Definition of a cell. Cell is nothing but it is the structural and the functional unit of life. Structural, as the name suggests, because it forms the structures, and functional because it carries out certain functions like producing certain proteins, producing the ATP which is required, then the removal of the waste and degrading the waste which is there. So these are all the functions which are performed by the cell. So cell is called as the structural and functional unit of life. So this way the definition of cell is, it is the structural and functional unit of life. Then the discovery, who did the discovery of the cell? Robert Hooke in 1664 did the discovery of cell. He discovered the cell in the cork of the bark of a tree, which shows that the cells are having the same structure and they are of regular pattern, that is the hexagonal pattern which he observed in the bark of the tree. That is the structure of the cell. So discovery was done by Robert Hooke in 1664. Then we have the different types of microscopes. We have seen the different microscopes. In that we have seen the compound microscope, which was used to observe the smaller minute organelles not much in detail. So to watch the organisms in detail, we have the scanning electron microscope and the transmission electron microscope. So this way we have seen the three different types of microscopes. Then what is the study of microscope is called? The study of microscopes is also called as microscopy. So we need to study the microscopes to understand these minute or the unicellular organisms, or you can call it as prokaryotes also. To study these small organisms, we need to know the microscopes, and the study of microscopes is called as microscopy. Then we have the different uses of microscopes. As I have told you, the microscopes are used to observe the small particles, the small cells, very minute particles which are not visible to the naked eye. Then we have the scanning electron microscopes and the transmission electron microscopes to observe the detail of each and every organelles. Like the granules which are present in the cells were also observed because of the scanning electron microscope, and the components of the RBC inside what is there. So these all things can be observed using the scanning electron microscope. Also, the external structures were observed using the scanning electron microscope. Then using the transmission electron microscope, it is the same process, but it uses the electron beam, because of which we can go into detail of each and every minute particle within the cell. This way, transmission electron microscope is also a modified form of the scanning electron microscope. Then we can understand how to classify the various organisms based on the cell size, shape, structure and their functions. So if you see the size varies from prokaryotes to eukaryotes. The size of the prokaryotes are very small as compared to the eukaryotes. Eukaryotes have a comparatively bigger size, so size is different. Also, if you see an organism which is a unicellular but obvious, it is having a single cell, so it will be very small, and a multicellular organism which will be having more than one cell, so it will be very big as compared to a unicellular organism. Then if you consider the shape of the organisms, the shapes are different. In human beings also, there are various cells which are having the different shapes. Like we have seen the RBC, we have seen WBC, we have also seen the spindle shaped cell, that is the muscle cell, then we have seen the nerve cell. So based on the shape also, we can classify the various cells, and we can classify them as the cells of various other organs. Then based on the structure, like it is same as this cell, but the structure of a prokaryote and a eukaryote is completely different. If you take a prokaryote, it is not having the nucleus, a well-defined nucleus. It doesn't have a nuclear membrane, and the genetic material is embedded anywhere in the cell. So this way, if you go to a cell of a prokaryote, it also has a flagella and the cilia. The flagella and the cilia are required for flagella is required for locomotion, and cilia are required for sticking or adhering to a particular substrate. So these are all the prokaryotic qualities which are not seen in the eukaryotic cell. In the eukaryotic cell, like you take example of a plant cell or an animal cell. In the plant cell, the outermost covering is the cell wall, which is made up of cellulose, much different than other cells. Then it also has the various components like a larger vacuole. It will be having endoplasmic reticulum. It will have a nucleus, then the nucleolus. Again, it will be having a chloroplast also, which is not seen in the animal cell. So this way, if you see the animal cell, inside the animal cell, there are organelles which are not present in the plant cell. Like if you take example of the lysosomes, lysosomes are also called as the succinate. So this way the structure is also different. Also the functions. If you consider the function of a prokaryotic cell, the prokaryotic cell has different functions, like they have to do locomotion to sit on the host, as they are dependent sometimes, or they make their own food or reproduction. All these parts are completely dependent on some other organism, and they derive their food from other organisms. So they have a different structure. If you consider a plant cell, their structure, their functions are different. Like plant cells do photosynthesis, but prokaryotic cell do not do photosynthesis. And if you see the animal cell do not carry photosynthesis, so they don't have the chloroplast. So this way you can see the difference between the functions also, and based on the functions, like within the human body also, the functions of a muscle cell is different, the function of a nerve cell is different, the function of a RBC is different, the function of the cells inside the stomach, those are also called as the goblet cells, it is also different. So there is a difference between the functions also within the same body. Even in the plant cell, if you consider, the xylem has a different function, whereas the phloem cells have a different functions. So they are the various vessels which are there, which will be performing the different functions, and based on that we can classify the cells on as per their functions. So these way we have the difference in the organism based on the size, structure, shape, as well as functions. Then we have the difference between we have seen the difference between a unicellular and a multicellular organism. So what is a unicellular organism? Yes, it is having a single cell. Then what is a multicellular organism? It is having many cells. Then what are the functions which are carried by unicellular organism? All the functions are carried by the same cell only, whereas in case of a multicellular organisms, there are different cells to perform different functions. Like if you consider a multicellular organism like an animal, they will be having different cells and performing their different functions. But this is not the case with the unicellular organism. A single cell will be performing all the functions. So this way, if you consider a unicellular organism, if a single cell dies, then what happens is the whole body is killed, the organism itself dies. But in multicellular organisms, there are trillions of cells. So even if a single cell dies, it doesn't make any difference. There are other cells to recover. There is cell growth or regeneration happening in case of a multicellular organism. The process of reproduction of the cell is comparatively different in case of a unicellular organism and a multicellular organism. Unicellular organism can develop by regeneration budding, or it can be a process of spore formation. But in case of multicellular organisms, the process is much different. It has to undergo meiotic or mitotic division, wherein it has to produce a new DNA with a similar copy of the DNA. Replication will be taking place, and then the cell will be divided as per the cell cycle. So multicellular organism has a comparatively different division as per the unicellular organism. So this way we have seen the difference between the unicellular and the multicellular organisms. We have also seen the various parts. So which are the various parts? Can you name them? The various parts of the cells are nothing but the cytoplasm was there, then cell wall we have seen, cell membrane we have seen. So what is a cell wall? Cell wall, it is the outermost covering which is made up of cellulose in case of plant cell, and pseudopeptidoglycan in case of the various prokaryotes which has the cell wall. The animal cell do not have the cell wall at all. So the outermost covering in case of animal cell is cell membrane. Then we'll see what is a cell membrane. A cell membrane is nothing but it is a fluid mosaic model which will be a semi-permeable membrane, and it will not allow the entry. It will help in restricting the entry of certain materials, and it will allow only certain elements to enter inside, which are helpful for the organism. So this way, the cell membrane is a semi-permeable membrane. It also helps in transport of certain material. It helps in the exchange of material from one place to another. So this way, we have the cell membrane. Then we have also seen the vacuoles. The vacuoles were there. There are food vacuoles in case of plant cell. The vacuoles are much bigger in case of plants, so that the storage of the food is done in the plants. Like we have seen the starch which is there, it is stored in the plants, so the storage capacity in plants is much bigger. But in case of animals, the vacuoles are sometimes very small, or sometimes they are absent only. So this way the vacuoles have not much use in the animal cell. Then we have also seen the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm, as I've told you, it is the semi-solid or a jelly-like fluid which will be holding all the organelles like the vacuoles, the mitochondria, the endoplasmic reticulum, the nucleus. These all organelles will be held by the cytoplasm. So cytoplasm is nothing but it is the fluid-like substance which will be holding all the organelles. Then the other important organelle is the nucleus, which is called as the heart of a cell. This is the part where the genetic material is present. And the genetic material, it is nothing but it contains your genes, so it is responsible for the heredity or the transmission of character from one generation to another. Then it is also responsible for producing the proteins which are required for your body. So this way the proteins as well as the genes are, the genes itself helps in transcription of the proteins. So the genes which are there are present inside the nucleus. So nucleus is the most important part of your cell. So this way we also have mitochondria. Mitochondria, it helps in producing ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate. Adenosine triphosphate was the energy currency of the body. It is the part which is being spent when you do a certain amount of work. Like if you have to move from one place to another, or write or think, or any activity which has to be done, it requires this expenditure of the energy which is produced inside the mitochondria. So mitochondria is also called as the powerhouse of the cell. See the functions of the various parts, like we have seen the cell wall, which is the outermost covering in case of a plant cell. It is not present in the animal cell, so animal cell have cell membrane as the outermost covering. Then we have the cell membrane, which is present in both, in plants as well as animals. We have also seen the cytoplasm, which is a jelly-like substance and holds the various organelles which are there in the cell. Then the organelles we have seen are the nucleus, which is also called as the heart of the cell. Then we have seen the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell, which produces ATP. Then the endoplasmic reticulum. These endoplasmic reticulum contains the ribosomes, and the ribosomes are the site for protein synthesis. So again, the endoplasmic reticulum are also helpful in producing the proteins, as well as they help in producing the certain products which are important for the cell. So this way, endoplasmic reticulum is again there. There are two types of endoplasmic reticulum: rough endoplasmic reticulum and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum originates from the nuclear membrane, so it is connected to the nucleus. Then we have also seen the lysosomes, the suicide bags. So then ribosomes we have seen. So these are all the organelles which are there in the cell, and various parts have their various functions. Then we have seen the difference between the plant cell and the animal cell. So this could be the possible question, that what is the difference between a plant cell and the animal cell? As I've already told you many times, that the plant cell have the cell wall, but the animal cell do not have the cell wall. So plant cell look quadrangular or hexagonal, but the animal cell do not look like that. They have a circular shape and they are having the fluid-like structure. It is not fixed, whereas the plant cell has a rigid structure. So that is the major difference between a plant cell and an animal cell. Again, one more major difference is the presence of the chloroplast. The chloroplast is present only in the case of plant cell, and it is absent in case of animal cell. As you all know that photosynthesis is done by plants only. So plants do carry photosynthesis in the, via the chlorophyll pigment, which is there in the chloroplast, and the animal cell do not carry photosynthesis, so they do not have the chloroplast. Then again, one more difference between a plant cell and an animal cell is the plant cell do not have lysosomes, which are the suicide bags, and these lysosomes are present in the animal cell widely. Then we also have the vacuoles, which are much larger in case of plant cell, and vacuoles are sometimes present or sometimes absent in case of animal cell. So this way, these are all the difference between a plant cell and an animal cell. Then we should also know the difference between a prokaryotic and a eukaryotic cell. The prokaryote and the eukaryotes, as I've told you, the prokaryote size is much smaller as compared to the eukaryote. Then the various organelles which are there, the composition is simple in case of a prokaryote. So they are called as the false cell. They do not have much organelles. And the eukaryotic cell is also called as the true cell. It has many organelles, and different organelles will be performing their different functions. In case of prokaryotes, you will see the nuclear material embedded anywhere inside the cell. It is called as the nucleoid. The nuclear material is called as a nucleoid. Since it is not present in the nucleus, then if you see the nucleus in the animal cell, the nucleus is present at the center, and it will be having the genetic material which is present in the nucleus only. It is not present anywhere inside the cell. So the organelles in the prokaryotic cell are membrane bound, whereas are not membrane bound, whereas in a eukaryotic cell, the organelles which are there, they are membrane bound. They are having a proper membranes outside, and there will be transport of material done through the membrane only. In case of prokaryotes, again you can see the presence of the cilia and the flagella. This cilia and flagella is not present in case of a eukaryotic cell. This flagella which is present in a prokaryote, like you take bacteria, it is helpful for the locomotion of the organism, and the eukaryotes do not have the cilia and the flagella, so they do not do locomotion as like the bacterial cell. So this way we have seen the difference between a prokaryotic and a eukaryotic cell. We have also seen the difference between a plant cell and an animal cell. This chapter, cell, the structure and functional unit of life, this is very important since we deal with the various cells, and we need to know the various cells in detail so that we can study each and every organism individually. Like if you go to botany, you will understand the plants in detail. If you go to zoology, you will understand the animals in detail. If you consider the microorganisms, you have to study microbiology. In that we will understand each and every organism, smaller organisms or the microorganisms in detail. So this way, cell is a very important chapter which we have seen in this topic.